Hello everyone, I'm Raekwon, proud and I'm privileged to be sitting with the lovely Theresa and Giles, author of In Search of the Ultimate Love Affair. But Theresa is not only an author, she is a director, she is a producer, and she's also a writer of the stage play In Search of the Ultimate Love Affair. So my first question to you, Theresa, is what led you to write this book?
Well, the book is based on my life. It's almost like an autobiography of my own life. And I was broken. I had never met my father till I was 20 years old. And so growing up without a father, I looked for a father's love in all the wrong places. And as a result, I was a broken young lady. And it went into my adulthood. And so being broken and then becoming whole, it inspired me to write to other broken people all over the world, because I think it's an epidemic all over our world that people are broken in search of love in all the wrong places.
Okay, so when did you realize you was broken and how did you know?
Well, I realized I was broken because of the many ways for which I searched for love. And so sometimes it was degrading how I searched for love. And then there were what other people think that fulfills your life when you're searching for love via education or money or notoriety, whatever it is that people feel will fulfill that void in your life. And I found that those things too did not fulfill me.
Okay, so I would believe you're whole now just sitting here looking at you. And if that's the case, when did you realize you were whole?
Well, before we go on, looks doesn't make a person whole, because I was broken probably wearing the same attire. So what made me whole, that's the secret of the play and in the book. But when I realized I was whole, I decided to write because I wanted to reach the masses, as in the words of late Maya Angelou, when you learn, teach. So this is just a platform that God has afforded me to use to reach the masses, so that others may become whole.
Okay, so what led you to convert this book into a stage play?
Well, like I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and I have come up with many business ventures with the help of God. And this was another one inspired by God to do, that I may be able to attempt to reach the world and that people may become whole.
Okay, and where can we see this play?
This first play is going to debut in Chicago, Illinois on November 2nd at the Harold Washington Cultural Center in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, so we're in Chicago, Illinois on November 2nd. How do we get tickets to this event?
Well, right now the tickets are on eventbrite.com. And if you're a Chicago resident, you can also get the tickets at God's House of All Nations on Stony Island. And also you can buy a ticket at the box office on the day of the show.
Okay, so let's back up for a moment. You mentioned that this is an autobiography.
Absolutely.
Okay, so who will be playing the role of you in this play?
Well, there's a young lady from my hometown. Her name is Kalmisha Gibbons.
Okay.
She's going to play Theresa, and she's phenomenal. And that's who's going to play me.
Okay, so I'm familiar with her work. I know that she's a Howard alum. I know that she does stunt work and she does some lead work. She was in Investigation Discovery playing a lead role. She done some stunt work with Howard, Orange is the New Black, Blue Bloods, and that's just to name a few. She's done a lot of great things. What made you choose her?
Plus, she has a lot of time invested in the industry. She may have not gotten the big break that I think that she's due soon in her life, but she stayed vested in the industry for about the last 10, 12 years. And I've seen her work, but I didn't see her work before I asked her to play the role. We were led. I think it was a divine connection between the two of us, and then her playing the role evolved as a result.
Okay. Is there anything personally that you know about her that made you think she would be the right person for this role?
But once the divine connection took place, and then she's disclosing some personal things about her life to me, I realized that definitely was the leading of God to have her play this role, because today and for a very long time she's been whole. I was broken for many years, and I think that it would do us good to have a whole person play the now Theresa who is whole and she's whole. And that's fine that that is astounding for a young lady at that age to behold.
Okay, and how did you select your collection of talent for the rest of the cast?
Well, some of it came, again, like her, through divine connection, and then some of it came as a result of just doing auditions, and someone referred someone that referred someone, or Kalmisha has been in the industry for a while, so then she did a couple referrals as well, and we auditioned them, and then they became a part. We cast them for the show.
Okay, and how can we get tickets to this event again?
At eventbrite.com, for those who are not Chicago residents, and even if you live in Chicago, you can buy it at event.com. And also God's House of All Nations on Stony Island in Chicago, as well as the box office in Chicago on the day of the show.
Okay, so we can go locally to get the tickets. If we live in Chicago, we can go to eventbrite.com. It's interesting you chose Chicago, being that you're from Mississippi, you live in Syracuse, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia. What made you choose Chicago to be that setting?
Well, so many pivotal moments happened for my life that really helped me to be the woman that I am today. One, I met my father in Chicago when I was 20 years old. Two, when I was getting off of drugs, I went to live with an uncle in Chicago 31 years ago. Three, when I wanted to get my life together, it was going to Chicago to change my environment, to get my life together 31 years ago. So Chicago has been pivotal for me in many areas of my life, and so I think fate would have it, God would have it, that that's where we're going to debut the first show in Chicago.
Okay, and why did you choose the venue you chose?
This place was referred to me by the same uncle who I met my father at his house. I got off of drugs at his house. I gave my life to Jesus at his house. So this uncle just happened to tell me about Chicago being a playtown, which I knew nothing about. And so then my uncle began to disclose to me the Harold Washington Cultural Center that was formerly the Regal Center years ago. The Cultural Center has been built for, I think, a little over 10 years, but prior to that was the Regal Center, which he said many artists got their start there on the same grounds. And so he named people like Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 that he went to see for $1.50 in the early 70s. And so forth and so on. So he told me about many artists that got their start there, as well as many artists that got their start there and end up on Broadway. And it just all seemed to fall in place. And so after contacting them, God began to give me favor and open doors, and here we are today.
Well, I wish I could see that number of talent for $1.50 today. And once again, where can we get tickets for this event?
At eventbrite.com. Online, and then God's House of All Nations on Stony Island in Chicago, as well as the box office the day of the show in Chicago.
Okay. Well, thank you for dropping by to share this information about this wonderful book of yours and this stage play that's coming. I'm looking forward to going to Chicago November 2nd at 7 p.m. Eventbrite.com is the place for the tickets. And where else can we get them if we live in Chicago and don't want to use the internet?
You can buy them at the box office on the day of the show, as well as God's House of All Nations on Stony Island in Chicago.
Okay, thank you. Theresa and Giles, ladies and gentlemen.